morning.
I guess EJ will be with us in just a few minutes. He was having some technical difficulties. So good morning.
Oh, EJ. How are you doing today, Ginny? Oh my gosh, there he is. Look.
I am doing
find the right spot.
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, Shayna. How are you
EJ.
doing?
How are you doing, EJ?
Oh, she said, "How are you, Shayna?" Anderson, I had a feeling EJ was late. So we're doing a new thing. Okay. A few new things. Speaking of change last week, right? So last week I started having morning tech calls with my team where we go over all of the calls for the day, and we do it at 7:45. That kind of throws a wrench in our Thursdays. So I was running late, and I also moved my office or my podcast location to a new room in my office, isolated. And when I got in this morning, 2 minutes late, my laptop wouldn't start. So
that's how it is.
Without me.
When you have to be ready for something and you have to print out a bunch of things, isn't that the time that your printer always fails?
Oh,
and you're like scrambling.
Stops connecting.
Yeah, it's just technology.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Technology loves me.
Good morning, Garrison. Adam. Let's see. Of course, good morning, Andrew. Thank you for joining us. Joe, got the new shop up and running or starting to. Thank you. Jeremy. Up really early.
Good morning.
All right. Andrew's at 2 minutes, right? Yeah. Well, it's my story. I get to say it how I want. So today we're going to be talking about customer conflict resolution. So my original title for today was, what do you do when the customer experience goes wrong? And like when Zach picked the topics, I got really excited about customer experience because that's what I love is putting on the show, building that relationship, really letting them experience high level professionalism. Then I started thinking, well, we've done that a lot. We don't really do what happens when it goes wrong. And shoot, seems like yesterday was one of those days for me. So it worked out. I had probably 4 different customers I had to call and handle some kind of situation and make a resolution for it. And we'll talk about some of those today. And I hope that you guys share yours. Negative feedback or complaints, recalls. We all get them. We all get them. If you ain't got any yet, you ain't done it long enough, or you're lying. So
it's true.
Buenos dias, Saul. Happy Friday. It's not Friday. It's Thursday. What's it? Es huevos? No.
Huevos is eggs.
Say.
Don't have a clue.
I don't know. You gotta say it for me. So I think huevos is balls, but I'm talking about balls today.
I think it's eggs.
So speaking of that, let's go ahead and get on topic. And I think Ginny is bringing a little scripture.
I am.
Shayna will pray for us. It's huevos, not huevos.
All right.
Huevos.
So my scripture that I chose today is in the spirit of receiving constructive criticism, because I don't know how to even do scripture after this conversation.
Maybe we should have Shayna do the prayer first.
Let's get us in the right frame of mind, Shayna. You do that. That would be great.
Oh, baby Jesus.
Ah,
Have mercy on us. Lord, I thank you and praise you, Father God, for this day. And I thank you that you have woken up the day with us, that you are here with us, that you're going to walk with us and guide us. I pray, Father God, that as we present this podcast, Father, that you just work through us, that you give us the words that we need to say, that you help us and you lead us. And then as we go about the rest of the day, Father, that you just be there and let us know that you are there with us. Amen.
amen. Thank
Man.
you. I feel cleansed. I feel much better now. Um, okay, so in the spirit of receiving constructive criticism, which that is how we here at Cavalry Appliance try to look at negative reviews or negative feedback is constructive criticism and an opportunity to get better. This is it's Proverbs 15:31 through 33. And I'm going to read two different versions because they're a little tiny bit different. He who rejects instruction hates himself, but he who gives heed to reproofs loves his soul. The fear of God is instruction and wisdom, and the beginning of glory will respond to it. And then a little more simplified version. If you listen to constructive criticism, you will be at home among the wise. If you reject discipline, you only harm yourself. But if you listen to correction, you grow in understanding. Fear of the Lord teaches wisdom. Humility precedes honor. So I really like that one too. So that's the spirit that I'm coming into this conversation with, and always an opportunity to learn and improve. And even if you think you didn't do something wrong, even if the customer feels like their perception was that they were wronged, it's an opportunity to learn. So that is how that scripture spoke to me. Take it away, EJ.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, speaking of that, one thing that is our common reaction is the most common reaction people respond with is fear. Fear controls most of our emotions and how we react. So it's not necessarily fear in the way you think of it, like you're afraid of snakes or something that's going to hurt you, but it may be a fear of your reputation or somebody calling in to question your integrity or your skill level, and they're questioning it, and you have to defend yourself. Uh, the biggest thing in this is don't take it personal
Doug is
and
so good at that.
receive the criticism constructively. Shayna is really good at this, being a big D. She says, "EJ, don't sugarcoat it. Like, just you're beating around the bush, talking too much. Tell me what's wrong."
Mm-hmm.
And then she just says, "Okay, okay, okay," and asks a few questions, and then makes it happen. Uh, that's the kind of thing we got to do. So before we start, I have 5 tips for effective customer conflict resolution. And of course, Shayna is going to be tag teaming this with me, and Jenny's along for the ride uh, because my office help is a very big piece of how I handle these customer interactions, because they're the ones that receive it most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they set me up for success to handle it. Uh, so right off the bat, before we get into the 5 tips, Shayna, why don't you talk about the process of receiving it from the phone perspective and kind of diffusing it and taking it from there to set us up. How do you guys go through that? Do you have a process?
So I know that it's covered in training. Don't ask me exactly the steps that it's covered in training because I was not part of that. But really, and we actually had a new guy who just got out of training. His very first phone call he got was a customer complaint.
Poor guy.
Um, and so it
But
was
you're
quite.
thinking this is going to go great.
Oh. So, and it was a 10-minute long phone call, and about how she felt like she had been ripped off and it still wasn't fixed. And so it was quite interesting to hear, like, he put a lot of the practices he put in place for the I don't know how many 10 days, I think 2 weeks that he'd been on, on the phone call being listened to. But there was still more that he needed to work on. Our biggest thing is like we're always like, you need to sympathize, have empathy and sympathy for the customer in their situation. Try to diffuse, because most of the time when people call in, they're up here. Let's get them down here where they can talk. Um, and really truly start walking through the situation. Now, most of our companies we can't make an executive decision on. It's really truly about diffusing the situation, getting it to where it's here, so that if it is something that we can solve, we'll solve. And if not, at least
Mhm.
we've diffused it enough to be able to pass it over to people like EJ for EJ to handle. Um, but then thankfully with us, we have more than one person in the office. So if you have more than one person in the office, sometimes the very first person that gets a phone call can't diffuse the situation.
Mhm.
They just can't. And all
Right.
it takes is transferring it to a new person. And I've seen it with me, like whenever I've had to be the second person, like they're screaming and they're cursing on the phone. As soon as I get to the phone, they're like, "Well, hello, how are you today?" Like it's just that
Yeah.
transfer of they got something more important.
Mhm.
Did they? Probably not, but it makes them feel like they do. So, anyways, so yeah, it's just it's a process. It really truly is a process of learning how to handle them.
Yeah, and some of the instances that we've had, we found that especially if it is your fault and you did something wrong, owning it and saying, "Yes, we messed up and we're going to make it right for you." Like people, as soon as you're not defensive and you own it and you apologize and say you're going to make it right, people change their tune most of the time. They just want to be heard.
We're going to cover that in step two, or tip number two. So we got some great answers coming in, and some of these guys that's commenting, they get it. Sal says apologize, meet them at their level, and quickly switch to a solution. Sal, did you read my notes somehow? Gosh, uh, you'll see where we go. Andrew, I don't think he actually maybe says it exactly like this, but I know Andrew, and he's good with his words and great with customers. He says, "I didn't make it, break it, or sell it, but I'm here to help,"
Mhm.
and that's the theme on the appliance issues. Now, if it's something else, is what we're talking about. If it's a recall, or they feel like they got ripped off or whatever. Um, and Joe says, I tell an angry customer, how can I make it right and do the right thing for you? So, what the theme we're getting out of all three of those comments is, we're trying to settle them down and say, look, we're here to help. I want to make it right. So, how do we do that? And I want to give a shout out to Jeremiah Webb. He runs the business Shop on Fire out of Florida, and he is a business coach. Uh, he spoke at PSA in Orlando, I think 2 years ago, and it really hit me, the things that he said. So I looked up on YouTube, and he's got a video. If you look up his YouTube video, there's one that's about 14 minutes long. That's the one you want to watch. And it really taught me a lot of this stuff. Like I always wanted to do the right thing, but I wanted to understand how to calm the customer down. So he says a lot of these things. Match the energy level, uh, own it, do the right thing, make it right, right? Yeah, I got you, Andrew. He said that's when they're mad at the appliance, and that's absolutely. Most people when they call us, that's what they're doing.
Mhm.
So we're going to start off number one. Address the importance of addressing negative feedback. A lot of people want to run from the problem
Mhm.
or hide from it,
Ignore
and
it.
we usually see those people on the news because somebody paid $3,000 for a major refrigerator repair, or dozens of people paid 500 to 1,000. You may be thinking of some names, and we're not going to say it, uh, but a lot of us know these stories. And I'm going to say, I don't think most of those are crooks. They probably meant well and didn't execute well.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get in over their head and they just don't know what to do. And, and it's hard. And that's when the integrity part is really hard. What do you do? You'll see these companies changing their name, changing their city, changing all kinds of things. Uh, that's when you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I have learned why addressing customer complaints promptly and effectively is crucial for your business. So we're going to talk about the problems get bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and the most important thing is your reputation is the most valuable resource you have. And Justin Gandy really hammered that in for me when we met. He said, EJ, first thing you do when you start is you got to build a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
People have to know you, and they have to know you for the right reasons. And that's when he pushed the 5-star reviews hard, different Google listings. And there were others along the way that kind of helped me uh, get that idea of what it takes to get the 5-star reviews. But then what do you do when you get the one? What do you do when they start complaining? How do you protect that asset?
Right.
So we got Jason checking in. Howdy. He's probably watching from 10 feet away from Shayna.
About 100.
uh, what do you guys think about the reputation aspect? Is there anything else we're missing on the importance of why you do it other than integrity and reputation?
Well, I feel like it's an opportunity to learn. And I know you're going to cover getting to the bottom of what went wrong a little later, but anytime that you receive a negative review or a complaint on the phone or anything like that, it's an opportunity to learn what went wrong and get better. So if you ignore it or deny it or argue with somebody, then you're missing the opportunity for service recovery, and that is your chance to really shine. So you have happy customers, you're doing great all day long, that's wonderful, but your opportunity to really shine as a company is how you respond to the negative customers, because they will tell everybody how wonderful you are if you made something right when it went wrong, more than somebody that just had a mediocre or positive experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was a book that we read, I'm going to say probably 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, called A Complaint is a Gift.
Mm,
And it really truly talks about how to take complaints and turn them into gifts, because
yeah.
if you're not hearing the complaints, people are complaining. It's just sometimes they vocalize them and sometimes they don't. So when you do get one vocalized, you should take it as a gift. And what can you do to better yourself?
Yeah. And plus, it makes you look classy when you respond like that. If you look at it as a gift and you thank somebody for taking the time to share their problem with you, then it's classy to do that. It's way more classy than ignoring it or arguing with them in public. That doesn't make you look good.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people have said, because we talk about 5-star reviews a lot, and one of my 5 steps to 5 stars is, which we'll be covering this month in the mastermind for the Service Alliance group. So check that out. Is ask for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like half of the industry is just totally against asking for reviews. They said if they want to leave a review, they will. And I get you. I ain't fighting. We ain't gonna fight about it. But I want to know the feedback. At first, I wanted as many 5-star reviews as I could, and it was Bobby on the round table that just said the one thing that really spurred me. It said, "Can you get one 5-star review a day?
Mm-hmm.
Can you really take care of one customer a day and get one 5-star review?" And I was like, "Yeah, shoot, I could try that on all of them." As you know, that's my head. And the thing is, when you ask everybody for a review, everybody that we go to gets a review link after every visit. It's in our automated software. If it takes us 6 times to get it done, they're getting 6 review links. And that can be a little intimidating, especially here, Andrew's talking, you expand. It's not EJ that's at every house that we go to now. And I have to answer for things that don't happen because of me, but it's my business.
Yep.
So I have to answer for it. And sometimes it's my office help that says something funny and we have to address it. And I have to own it. And that's part of it. You know, Jenny, you got Shelby in the office. I'm sure sometimes her or will say or do something that just ain't right. And you got to own it. And you can't say, "Oh, well, you know, they're new and, you know,
No.
whatever." It's you. You're the owner.
Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah.
So when you ask everybody, you're going to get all of the feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it. I want it. Now, if you're worried about a 1-star review making you look bad, or even a couple, Bobby also did the math a few years back. I think it's 85 5-star reviews make up for 1-star. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the best way to get rid of a 1-star review?
Hide
Bury
it. Mm-hmm. Not hide it. Yes, bury it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Hide it with a bunch of good ones is what I meant. Yeah.
when we get to the examples, Jenny, I want you to share when we get to it. The first 1-star review you got and how you shared it publicly.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. And we're going to move on to step 2. Step 2 is active listening and empathy. We're going to talk techniques for actively listening to your customers' concerns and showing genuine empathy to build trust. I added that part in. In order to express real empathy, Jenny, why don't you explain before we move on, what is the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Well, putting it really simply, empathy is trying to put yourself in a place of that person and understanding their feelings, but you're not necessarily, whereas sympathy is feeling sorry for somebody. Yeah. Empathy is trying to identify with why they might feel the way they feel and then taking care of their feelings and not just apologizing. That would be more sympathetic.
You know, a lot of us techs, we don't know all of those words. Mm-hmm. And a few years back, I had to learn the difference between sympathy and empathy. And we still say it wrong sometimes, right? So that was for me too. You have to listen to the concerns and try to understand from their perspective and then meet them where they are.
Right.
Yep.
That's where Saul stole my stuff. Meet them at their level, emotionally. You don't go and meet them at the house and say it to my face. You meet them at the level that they're at.
But to clarify, it doesn't mean if they're angry and yelling at you that you also get angry and yell back at them.
Exactly. So I'm going to let you guys address that first in fear that you're going to say what I was going to say. But go ahead and cover. Who wants to take empathy?
I can do that.
All right.
So, I mean, do you want to do a role play, Shayna? You want to complain about something and I'll show you some empathy.
This is a rated G episode.
We did such a good job role playing that one time, and EJ did so much. I thought we could do it for him again.
Sure. Hey, Jenny, my washing machine is still not working. I want somebody out here now.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about what it's doing
It's
or
still not spinning. It's still not spinning. It was spinning, not spinning before, and it's still not spinning. And then he left. He took $400 and he left.
Okay, well, let me see. I see that we were out there just 2 weeks ago, and you're right. We looked at your washer, and just to make you feel a little bit better right away, we do have a guarantee. So we'll come out there and make it right for you, even if we
How are
have
you
to
going to
come
do
out.
that?
Well, we can get you on the schedule today or tomorrow if that works for
Tomorrow?
you.
No, no, now. Who do you have right now? Send him out.
Okay, let me check with the technician. And at the worst case scenario, I can have them call you back and help walk you through what to do right away. But I totally understand. I would feel the same way if I paid money for something and it wasn't working after somebody came out. But I just want to make sure you know that we're here to serve you and we will definitely make this right for you, even if we have to give you your money back, because that is our guarantee that we stand behind.
Was that a scripted one, Jenny?
That was not scripted. No. I mean,
Looked
but it
like it
is our
was,
guarantee. We
and I was
we do stand behind our work and we do have a guarantee. So I don't know if everybody has that, but we do stand behind what we do, and we do. Had a lot of practice, failed more than you know. Yeah. Yeah.
so one thing that I would say here is feeding into the meet them where they are emotionally. So that's the second level of empathy, and that's where we're talking about matching the energy. Uh, so in this example, Shayna says, "I'm so upset. I paid him $400 for a washing machine repair. It wasn't spinning before. I paid him $400. He spent an hour here, and he said it worked, and now it ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on here? Why? What is the problem? You guys not know how to fix washers, right? And now, what I want to do is I want to match the energy, but not the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're right. I get it. Yeah, $400 is a lot of money. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I know that must have been a hard decision to make the repair, and we let you down. Okay, I apologize for that. Let me see what I can do to get this taken care of for you right away. Uh, and you know, I may even ask some of the questions like Jenny, like, you know, I understand, you know, let me pull up your file and see what's going on. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. And one thing that I was told early on is, and I think Alex might have said this, when you're responding to negative reviews, highlight uh, a business principle that you live by, like one of your core values,
Mm-hmm.
and say that, look, one of our promises is that you're going to get a professional appliance repair, and we let you down. And I'll tell you what, we don't like letting people down. This is not a common thing. This doesn't happen. I'm sorry that it happened to you, but I'm going to take care of it. I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee, you know, our 90-day labor and 1 year part guarantee that we stand by our work. We are here. Now, if you listen to the one that Jeremiah Webb did, he's got all of that energy, and he's like, "You're when stuff goes wrong, your fake friends you can't find them, and your real friends are right there in your corner, and that's us. And when can we get out there?" And then they're like,
Yeah, they don't expect you to own it. They expect you
Some
to
people
argue.
want to fight, and they
Mm-hmm.
just want to know that you heard them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Shayna, what kind of things do you guys do uh, when you get that call from that person that you just role played?
Well, most of the time, like we don't have permission to give money back or tell them that we're going to do the task for free. It really truly is at that for our phase is just figuring out how to de-escalate the situation enough that when we do have a solution for them, or if we need to pass it over to someone like you, EJ, that you don't have that still that same high. And so the process really truly is about listening while giving little tiny bits of snippets and then saying, yes, this is really important and I do agree with that. I'm going to get this over to the office manager, field manager, or whoever it may be, and they will be giving you a call back. Sometimes we do have like owners in the office. So, and those point, I'm gonna put you on a brief hold, just see if I can get the office manager on the phone, and then we'll call them up. Hey, I've got Mrs. Jones on the line. This is the problem that's happening. If the owners are out in the field, then of course we can't do that. But
Mhm.
it really truly is just teach them. It's about listening, de-escalating the situation, listening, and like I said, sometimes the first person can't de-escalate it, so then we gotta send it to a second person.
Mm.
We can't
Yeah.
give them the correct answer, so we've gotta send them to a second person. Um, or in poor Kyle's situation, he did end the phone call, but sometimes with them, like if they're new on the phone late, they can only take it so far because they're still learning. And so it really truly is about getting it to the point where he can pass it off, but he held on to that phone call.
Mhm. Now, what you guys, uh,
That's
uh,
funny.
yeah, here, I'm re-interviewing my office help. Yeah, it does kind of seem like that sometimes. I get to interview her every week.
AJ doesn't get a lot of bad customers though.
Yeah,
The
we
the worst ones are the
got a
ones
few
that
yesterday.
when the owners don't take care of the clients and we get repetitive and each time it just gets worse with the
Yeah.
same customer calling in. Those are the worst.
So, Shayna, why do you think people are more angry on the phone than they are in person?
I think because it's the first step. Like you don't just show up at their house and and the problem just happened. Like literally they're like, my wash is not working. I got a call right now. And so at that point why they're higher on the phones is because it's their first step of getting that frustration out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And sometimes you have other people to talk to, but most of the time they don't spew everything out, or they if they do, like maybe it's their spouse, but their spouse is right there with them feeding them, which a lot of times makes it worse.
Yeah.
um and
That's
so
true.
so we are, the people on the phone are the very first people, whether it's Andrew, I don't know if you answer your own phones, you answering the phones, you're the very first person they've been able to spew at,
Yeah. So
and that's
I
what they're
think
doing.
I think there's a couple of levels to this, and I know we're spending a lot of time on step two because empathy and active listening is very big parts
Right.
of this.
Mhm.
You can't do any of the rest unless you do this. Uh, I have a couple theories too, but first, you mentioned the spouse in their ear. Speaking of fear, you want the wrath of your wife that has a mountain of laundry because you have four kids and they're all in sports, and the girl likes to change her outfit 3 times a day minimum, and all of the stuff that hits the floor is automatically dirty, and they got this mountain of laundry and they've already been down a week for you to repair it and it doesn't work. All of that is fear.
Mhm.
Like in that situation, the mother is worried that their kids are going to have dirty clothes, and how's that going to make their kids feel? And the husband's like, oh my god, mama's not happy, that means nobody's going to be happy. Now what? I gotta put this on somebody else. And then you got the phone part. That's safe. So first off, it is the first release of the emotion,
Yeah.
but it's also safe. Like when I went through my recovery in AA, I learned that I was the hardest on my mom growing up, and you learn that you're hardest on the people you're closest with because it's safe.
Mhm.
You know that if you act a fool, you might get busted upside the head, but they ain't gonna beat you to death, right? But when you're at school and you start running your mouth, uh, somebody will punch you in the nose, and you better be able to back it up. So I think it's safe because it's over the phone, and I think it is the fear and the first emotion. So all of that, plays into it. So Saul says sometimes you have to just let them go. Can't save them all. Hey, I let one go
Yep.
yesterday. So I know that. Now let's go to step 3: transparency and honesty. And we kind of covered this a little bit in my role play session there. Uh, being transparent with customers is the best way to address their concerns and is essential. It is mandatory. It's needed. You can't skip this step when you're trying to maintain trust. When we talk about sales tactics or 5 steps to 5 stars, the first impressions, lasting impressions, all of it has to do with likability and trust. People want to do business with other people they know, like, and trust. Trust is the biggest one in that. So if you can't be transparent and honest and own your mistakes, you're going to lose this. And if you lose their trust, it doesn't mean you can't get it back, but once you lose it,
It's
you
hard.
lost it.
Yeah.
That one's gone. And you know, one bad recommendation in the right community can ruin some businesses. If you have, you never know who the person is. You don't know who they have influence with. So just treat everybody right because it's the right thing to do and it's safer for you. Uh, so if you let them down in a process that you're doing, own it. There is real power in ownership and accountability for your mistakes. I always, as a kid, I wanted to run from my mistakes and put them on everybody else. And I finally got to a point where if everybody around me is wrong, maybe I'm wrong. I can't fix everybody, but there's one common denominator in all of those situations. When I was growing up, a misspent youth, uh, it was me. So if you can own your mistakes and then make that effort to do something right, that's the step. So uh, the honesty, Shayna, and the honesty part, it's tough for you guys because it's not your business, but you're representing my business.
Yeah.
So you guys, I've built a relationship with my office help team that I trust them as if they were in my office. And I give them some ownership and empowerment to just make some decisions because they know me, they know what kind of things I would do, they know what I stand for. Uh, you know, we've had those customers that are just rude and no reason to be rude. Like you can take some attitude and then deflect or resolve it. But if it's just attitude for the sake of attitude, I said, guys, we've worked too hard to get to this point to take this crap. That's not our customer. They have that right that I gave them. You don't get treated like that. You know, we've had some other comments we won't talk about because I don't want to embarrass Kentucky, but you have them everywhere. And, you know, we don't have those. They ain't my customers.
Right.
But how do you guys handle the honesty and transparency between your businesses up there? And Shayna, you can even answer for my office help because sometimes I complain.
Jenny can go first.
I mean, just like you said, EJ, if we did something wrong, we own it. We make it right. We have developed, as you said in the very beginning, our reputation of doing that. We put it on our website. We read it in our mission statement when we start our meetings. So we really live out our values in the community and people know it. And when somebody does complain, we acknowledge it and we are transparent, honest. I mean, it's right in our values system. So if we have a team member that is ever not being transparent and honest, then that's not our team member either.
So before we get to Shayna, this might be a good place for Ginny to share her example of their very first 1-star review and how you handled it
Well, to be
with
honest,
honesty and transparency to your community.
we did, but first it was a punch in the gut. It felt terrible, to be really honest. When you first get a bad review like that and somebody's bashing you or your company, or in this case it was my husband that they were bashing, I felt angry, hurt,
Mama came out.
frustrated, defensive. Yeah, I mean, I felt all those things, but that's when you never ever want to respond to something. So when you're feeling all those feelings, do not respond to a review. Wait. Because if you respond when you're feeling all those feelings, you're just going to make yourself look really bad in public. So that would be my first advice when you get it. But what we did was we tried to handle it with the person. Thankfully, we had some warning because we've spoken highly of this company before on this podcast, but there's another appliance company right here in our community called Riverside Appliance. And Josh Tilley is he's part of this Facebook group. He talked to us ahead of time and warned us that this customer was coming our way and that this was an issue in the past with this customer. And so they had blown up his Google reviews, and then they did the same thing to us. And so thank God we had that warning because it kind of helped us deal with it. But regardless, the way I handled it was after, and it happened to be our anniversary weekend. We were trying to get away as a couple that weekend and just relax together and in the middle of running the business. So basically he ruined our anniversary weekend and we were upset. But what we did was come back and I posted on Facebook, hey, we always share our good reviews with you. So I want to take a minute and share with you a review that we got that wasn't good and our response, because we really care about the fact that somebody was unhappy. And he did end up deleting his review later, but it's still on our Facebook feed. If you scroll way far back, you'll see it. And what we learned was this gentleman happened to be really unreasonable. And when we looked back at some of the other reviews he'd given, he actually complained about a bagel shop in our town having their holes were too big in their bagels. And there was something about him that couldn't be satisfied. But regardless, in his mind, he felt justified and he was upset. And so even if we thought he was completely unreasonable and being mean and all those things, we responded with class and we addressed all of his points and we tried to make it right. And we shared that response with the public. And the response from our community was extremely heartwarming because they were there commenting that this person couldn't possibly be right because they've only gotten really great service. So I think it also shows transparency to communicate when things don't go right, and that you're not only sharing when everything goes right, but you can share with people when things go wrong, and that you're human and things sometimes can go wrong and people can have a bad day at your business or make a mistake or do the wrong thing or break something, and this is how you handle it. So yeah, it wasn't fun. I don't recommend getting 1-star reviews, but when you do get one.
But you didn't stop asking for the reviews, did you?
No, we did not.
Shayna, how do you guys cover transparency and honesty? Let's just say from the client complaint.
Yeah. I mean, with us, like for instance, the client yesterday wanted the call recording for that complaint, right? Which of course we always listen to it. And there were things that we need more training on. So we did pull that. And even Tabitha's like, so I'm sending this, right? And I'm like, yep, you're sending. See my helper. She just came in. She just woke up. Anyways, she said, so I'm sending this, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, she said, and if he has complaints about it, I'm like, once he listens to it, if he has complaints about it, we'll tell him what we're doing to train and to make Kyle even better. Because for the most part, he did a great job. But there was some things in there. So really, truly, it is, even on our end, it is about, here's what happened. If EJ calls and he says, what happened with this client? It really truly is about, here's what happened, EJ. And if EJ, if we're not happy with it, because there's times that the clients are happy with the situation and we're not. It really truly is about, we see this, we understand this, but we also know that this is an opportunity
Mhm.
for growth, either in one team member or in the entire company.
Yeah. So, we are kind of alluding to step 4, and it's all part of the same motion. And you might
Yeah.
have heard some of this throughout the other examples. Follow up and customer recovery.
Yeah.
So you, when I call, and I got a recording yesterday. I don't know if it was the one you're talking about or not, uh, but it wasn't. This one wasn't a complaint from my customer. It was a complaint from me. How we handled a certain situation, which was out of the ordinary, and it didn't involve a customer complaint, but it wasn't how I wanted this process to go. But we haven't covered it before, and usually when I do that, Heather will send me the recording, but she listens to it first because she wants to get to the bottom of it. And we're going to cover that in step 5. Maybe we'll do them all together, 4 and 5. Uh, the resolution and the root cause analysis. After you make it right, why did it happen? So it doesn't happen again, right? So, and I know that's where Jenny's going to want to shine on that. So we're just cover with this one. I'm getting excited. I got to sit up. Uh, Heather will say, here's the recording. I listened to it. Here's where I think we failed. And here's what I want to do about it. And in that situation, I just want to know all the info I can so that I can go to the customer. Now, what I love about having my office help answering my phones is I do have that buffer. The initial anger and frustration comes to them. And, and I love them for it. I am really good at handling a customer complaint, but I'm so much better if I have the information and I'm prepared. I have to really get into the right mindset to calm down, clear my thoughts, and I'm not naturally empathetic, right, Shayna? But
No.
people like us, we're not naturally empathetic. Jenny, that's her superpower. She feels for everybody. I want to fix the problem. I don't really care how you feel. I want to fix it. And that's what I am. So I have to really practice and work on the empathy side and transforming that or displaying that, projecting that. That's see, we're not good with words. We're techs. We're not good with words, vocabulary. I have to project the empathy to the customer while instilling confidence that I'm going to fix it. When we didn't fix it the first time, we're going to fix it. We're in the corner. We ain't quitting. So Jason says he agrees. I don't know which part he
I,
agrees on.
I'm thinking he's agreeing that we don't have empathy.
Yeah. So Jason is the empathetic one of the Shadowing household. Uh, so you have to work at it and you have to be ready. But I want to know as much information as I can. When we go into a house to fix something, whatever it is you're fixing at the home in the home service business, you want as much information as you can. You don't want to go in looking like an idiot and try to figure it out when you get there. Now that's what we do. But the more information you have to go in prepared, you do it. Sports teams study tape from previous week's games for them and their opponent. They want to know what they're going into. What's our weaknesses? What's their weaknesses? What's the strengths? Where are we at? Where are we vulnerable? Where was we wrong? And sometimes you ain't wrong. Sometimes it's just the perspective of the customer that they feel like it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to just have a grown up conversation and say, look, I get it, but this is the facts. This is where it is. So you have to, I have in my notes here to stay on topic. Everything up to that point is uh, laying the groundwork for this step, action. Everything else is just responding. The action is where you really get that trust. So you calm them down, you get them to listen to you. You've already listened to them. Now you got to quickly come up with some resolution and humbly accept it and follow through. Mm-hmm. So be sure to follow up after you're done by thanking them for the opportunity to make it right. In my response, I say, I want to make this right. Let me know what I can do. Or I tell them what I plan to do. Is that okay with you? And then afterwards, like, look, hey, thank you so much. We found a hole in our process because of this, and I'm going to fix it. You started it. You had to live through it. I appreciate you doing that, and you're going to make us better. Mm-hmm. If you still have the trust in us for the next time something happens, please call us. Right? Please let us know. We want to be the guys that come and take care of you. And I'll tell you, most of the time, they appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Stuff goes wrong and you do the right thing. For some reason, the bar on that is so low.
Yeah, it's about integrity. So do you want to dive into root cause really quickly since it's almost 8? I mean, yes, almost 9. So a lot of what we've talked about so far is basically the opposite of root cause, which is handling the symptoms and all of the surface issues, because we have to handle those right away when we're dealing with a customer. The root cause part, you can deal with some of that by asking questions with the customer, but your root cause analysis is going to be after the situation happens to make sure it doesn't happen again. And a root cause is getting to exactly that. It's not the surface things, but getting to the bottom of what caused the situation to happen. In the example of our 1-star review, the gentleman was really upset because he felt like we were charging him too much money for a part for his refrigerator because he could find it online at a very well-known giant retailer for much cheaper. And so part of that piece was educating him, and the root cause was that people don't understand about OEM parts and things like that. So root cause you can do by a technique called 5 whys. There's something called a Pareto chart, which is keeping track of all the reasons that a particular thing is happening so that you can look at the many things that are happening the most or that are causing the biggest problems. So basically, it's about getting to the bottom of it and preventing a recurrence of that issue more than it is dealing with the customer on the surface. So that's my opinion about root cause analysis. So, but of course, you want to get to the bottom, ask questions for the customer, and do that service recovery. But you don't want it to keep happening to other customers so that you have to keep dealing with the same thing over and over again.
Shayna, I believe that's Tabitha's superpower, right? Building the processes to make sure these things don't happen again.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a collaboration to figure out what the process needs to be. An example, we have a new client that actually has a custom built software. And so we were having problems with scheduling with his custom built software. And even I hopped on the Zoom. Like I was the one that said, let's get on a Zoom. And so it was one of the owners, myself, Tabitha, and Heather were all on the Zoom saying, okay, what's the issues and what can we do to fix it? And so like I was the one that did primarily all the talking. It was about like, okay, so there's that. So let's implement this, or there's that. So let's implement this. And in some instances, it was him recreating stuff inside of his system, building new tags and whatever it may be, because it completely is a custom software that he can do whatever he wants with. So But yeah, I didn't create the process afterwards. I knew what needed to be done, and it was sent to Tabitha and then also to Heather for Heather to implement some of the stuff that went in. But really, truly, it is like we can't just leave it hanging, even if it is a bad customer. Like how many times do we give money back and then we're just like sayonara, sayonara, and we blacklist them on our in our list and we just let them go. I
Yeah,
had I had to let it go a client last week that's been with us for over 3 years. Like, there's no coming back. Like, not that we actually did anything wrong. It had to do with our phone system and her not seeing the owner's wife not seeing messages about the phone system being changed over.
yeah,
And I, I'm just, it wasn't worth it. They weren't worth it. And so we made a resolution and then we just let them go.
that's right.
It happens with all of us.
So I let go of one yesterday after I refunded them. I tried to save it, not just for me and not just from a refund. Uh, I won't get into the details of the tech side, but they had an issue with their refrigerator uh, building up ice in the evaporator area of the fresh food section. So you can fill in the blank on that one. And we did all of the stuff to fix it. And then the defrost drain tube was actually collapsed. And I hadn't seen that before. So everything we did was right and it would naturally fix this problem. But then after that, we had this other problem, and we weren't able to find a way to fix this. I don't know. You guys reach out to me if you have the fix for that that you would do in a customer's house. But I said, you know what? I knew they were hurting for money, even though they're not poor. They were just stressed because they're living on a retirement budget, and the woman she's one of them that over she overdoes all of the emotion. One little thing goes wrong, and she's crying, mad, and hysterical, and very difficult to deal with. And I tried to understand it. When I was at their house and when the initial problem happened, uh, she cried. I cried a little bit with her. She hugged me. Everything was fine. And then when we got to this part of the problem, she's angry and crying. And I said, you know what? I'll tell you what, we don't do this. Okay. But you already paid this money and the parts were needed. You need something else that we can't provide. So we have a refrigerator that we sell on the side. I'm going to get it to you for free. And I had troubles getting it delivered because we don't deliver appliances. And she was frantic because our communication was terrible because I didn't communicate well when I had troubles getting it delivered. And she just all on this, and the fridge wasn't bad. It built up some water and would leak a couple of times. You know what I mean? Put a towel down. It's not an emergency. uh, all the food is good because we did what we did. And finally, I just said yesterday, you know what? I know this has been a pain. I really let you down on the communication. That's one of our brand promises. It's clear and frequent communication, and I let you down. This ain't a normal situation. We don't generally deliver appliances, and this is why. We don't know. We don't do this. We're not set up for that. So I'm going to do the right thing. I was trying to help you get a refrigerator cheaper than what you would be able to otherwise. But I'm going to do the right thing right now, and I'm just going to give you your money back and let you go solve this problem without me because we're not going to be able to satisfy you. And I can't deliver at the level that you expect. And I get it. It's on me. I'm going to give you the money back.
Good luck to her finding somebody that will deliver to her level of expectations, but you tried.
I got $500 in parts. and $500 buying a fridge from Terry, and then paying somebody to deliver it. I ain't dealing with it. And then
Yeah.
she wanted a guarantee for a year on that fridge. I,
Yeah. But you
I
tried.
ain't doing that. I can't meet you at that level. So I got to part ways. And it is what it is. and I always wonder this too. Tears are the worst kind of manipulation. So we'll see. Now, sometimes they are, and sometimes they just frantic. Uh, all right. So I want to close with this. Always learn from these situations. Learn from your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Owning them is the first step. Making it right is the second step. Learning from it is the last step. If you don't learn from your situation, your mistakes, you'll be doomed to repeat them. And that is loosely one of the definitions of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So
Yeah.
make sure you learn from them. Don't hide from your failures, your mistakes. Face them head on and learn from them. Tune in tomorrow. I believe it's Zach filling in for TK with Miss Ward. So usually when they come together, something great happens, and it does. It's not often, so don't want to miss that one. Okay, and make sure you check out and sign up for the next mastermind service alliance group all access plan. Get you free access into the 5 steps to 5 stars mastermind. We do something different every month. And Ginny has a what do you call it? The business intensive.
Small business intensive. Yep. Outcomeacademy.com/S, B, You can learn all about it.
Check it out. She's doing big things, helping businesses get to the next level and create the outcome that they desire.
Thank you. Yeah.
And of course, my office help. There's a reason you're here. We like you guys. You're part of my team. I need you to put EJ's on your logo, though. So, see you later, everybody.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye. Bye.